at Radio Free America, and this is Uncle Sam with music and the truth until dawn. Right now, I got a few words for some of our brothers and sisters in the occupied zone. The chair is against the wall. The chair is against the wall. John has a long mustache. John has a long mustache. It's 12 o'clock, Americans, another day closer to victory. And for all of you out there on or behind the lines, this is your song.
And welcome everybody to our daily podcast, our daily gun show. What am I saying? We come to you live every day at 7 p.m. Eastern. That's 4 Pacific for about an hour and 90 minutes. We do 3 different gun topics each day, different topics throughout the week. We had a bunch of daily topics as well. We run it live on YouTube, and a bunch of us jump in here. We run the show live and then simulcast it over at gunchannels.com, which is a website that is a community focused on firearms. So we're watching the live chat that happens while we're live over on Gun Channels and over on YouTube. When the live video is all over, we'll let it render into a video on YouTube, and we'll take the audio from that and post it on iTunes as a podcast. So we encourage everybody who might be listening to our show now or in the future to leave us some feedback on whatever platform it is you listen to it on. We broadcast on quite a few, and it's always interesting to know where people are listening and who's out there. And then it also will help our shows to be recommended to more listeners. So we do appreciate that. We've got some hosts. 4 of us are here today. We've got Dano jumping in from Illinois. Thanks for joining.
Glad to be here. Hopefully I can actually have decent audio the whole length of the show.
Oh yeah, it sounds 100% better again. That was just a weird thing yesterday. Did you have weather or something up there?
I think it was my router.
Oh, okay. Yeah, sounds
once I reset it later on, everything's fine.
Oh, good. And then we got Z jumping in from the island of Maui. Thanks for joining.
Aloha.
Then we got Smeggy, special guest star. Not quite playing the role of Bob, but like we should put Smeggy at the very end, and then like also starring.
Well, thanks for having me.
And then down here in Arizona. So we don't know where Bob is. He knows what time the show is. He's an adult. Maybe he just doesn't care about our listeners anymore. Maybe that's just how it is. Maybe he's a Canadian. He got his use out of us Americans. Now he's moved on.
As the accountant of the Daily Gun Show, I'll make sure it's reflected in his paycheck.
I think so. Also, I don't like the way that he's scamming free healthcare off of us. He's always talking about how good the Canadian healthcare system is, yet he's always coming to us for his healthcare bills. Oh, well, we'll take care of that off here, I guess.
Socialist. What can you do with them?
So today is episode 244. We're going to be talking about gun stuff because it's a Thursday. Today we'll be talking about guns mounted on aeroplanes. I think we've got member over on Gun Channels who wanted to jump in. Did we already send them the link? Sorry, I forgot to say let's send them that link. So we might have an actual authority on the subject coming in to talk to us about that. Otherwise, we'll wing it. Get that? Planes, wing it. So then we'll be doing training. Meal planning for training or competition, and then we'll be talking about the events that are coming up on the calendar or that might be happening as we speak. And I guess that would be topical to have Marco jump in. So we're going to try to have Marco jump in, who was at the Great American Outdoor Show earlier today and last week. And I think he said he might be stopping on his road trip home and jump into the show for a bit. We'll try to get him a link. Otherwise, before we jump into all these interesting topics, we usually take a break at the beginning to see if anything happened overnight. Anything worth talking about? Wednesday night, nice chat. Nothing. Am I still connected? It shows up.
Yeah, you're still here. Sorry. But anyways, Matt's chat was kind of interesting with the impromptu top 5 U.S. gun companies, which we then fixed in the lobby. And I believe you did a live video, little 7-minute video.
You're talking about the train wreck in Matt's chat where he just completely lets into the randomness and yeah.
Yes, but we fixed it, so it's okay. Which that's what the lobbies are for, man, is fixing all of Matt's mistakes. And general talking.
Then, of course, there was the early watch this morning. I did not catch most of that. I was tinking around with some things, so I was not near a computer enough of the time to listen. But saw that went on, and then you had an earlier lobby this afternoon, right? Marco was in there at that Great American Outdoor Show, so like poking the camera around, doing kind of walking around live with the camera, looking at the gun portion of it. It sounds like it's more than just a gun type of trade show, or would you call it a trade show, or a what'd you call it?
I guess it's like a
it's trade show.
But yeah, he was saying the gun part of it's about a quarter of the size of like the NRA show. So it's
Other
not
than it's
as
billed
big.
as the largest outdoor show in the world, other than it's billed as that.
Yes, but I said the gun portion of it is about a quarter of the size of the NRA. He said there's much more camping, hunting, RVs, all that kind of stuff. Boats, like a bunch of things.
Nice. Sounds like it was a good time. Anybody know if there's a question out in the chat, or do they offer sales? I guess we'll have to ask Marco.
I think you can buy some things, and I think Dano, you're echoing a bit.
Echoing a lot. Yeah, they definitely let you buy stuff. He's already said that part. I think Dano's put something in the microwave. So Marco was saying that most everything was for sale. Maybe something like a boat or something that was too big to have multiples of, but it sounded like the booths were more like gun show booths than anything else.
Well, that seems like a good thing then. Now, when it's okay, so when it's something like that, basically the person, the booth or whatever you're dealing with, it probably is an FFL more than likely. Yes.
No, because it wasn't all gun stuff. It was like.
Well, no, I'm just saying the gun booths, right? So I guess what I'm getting at is, if you purchase there, is it just like a FFL where basically they're going to ship it to your FFL? It's not like you're walking out of there with anything. Is that correct?
We're definitely not walking out of there with guns. And when we said they're selling stuff, I guess we didn't mean firearms. We mean stuff like accessories and belts and.
Yeah, well, I know Freedom Munitions had a great deal on boxes of ammo.
I did get a chance to see that. Was it $8 or $9, dude, for a box? Was that what it was down to?
It was pretty cheap.
Yeah, for like the 115 grain 9mm was like $8.50, and then they had hollow points for like $9. 223 was like $13 a box or something. I mean, all the numbers were great.
Yeah, Dano, you're getting wicked feedback off of Smeggy, so we keep muting you because I don't know if you're standing right there or not. All right. Well, with that being said, we've joined in us, and we have the first subject. I guess we'll dig into, unless anybody else wanted to mention anything else, maybe the petition or anything. But we just keep going, I guess.
Well, that is one thing. The petition did seem to jump up quite a bit recently, but
so this is Wednesday. We noticed an increase in the petition after the Tuesday night. Something happened Tuesday night afternoon. And
at 9 o'clock, you mean? Tuesday night, 9 o'clock?
It seems like if you do the CSI on it, and you did all the vectoring off of the IP addresses and stuff, using algorithms, that's where it seems. It seems like it all came out of the eastern part of the country at 9 p.m. ish.
Yeah, I believe so. Tuesday night, 9 o'clock, hit or miss. But just to comment on that, everyone's like, "Oh, we're almost at the limit." I would say keep pushing the thing till we have 500,000 signatures. I mean, just because you reach the limit doesn't mean, okay, we're done. Like, I'd love to be able to show the people in the government that's like, dude, look at that. We have millions of people sign this thing.
Go. That's the right answer, dude. That's it.
I guess I don't understand I'm not sure what you mean by we've reached the limit. I don't understand what they mean by that.
Well, it has to have at least
the limit of what?
It has to have at least 100,000 in order to even be a thing. Like, basically, it forces the White House to give a response if it reaches that. But if it doesn't reach that, they don't have to respond to it if they don't feel like it.
Right, but the limit is not 100,000. That's just the bare minimum. That's not the limit.
Right, you're right. It's the lower limit is, I guess, the way to say it. It's the threshold. Yep. But yeah, I'd love to have 1 million signatures on that thing, dude. That'd be awesome.
I think another
Yeah.
way,
Then they.
I think there's another way to describe what Smeggy's trying to say. We're here all week. Remember to take the waitresses.
Yeah, you know, I guess you want your stuff copyright claimed just like my afternoon got copyrighted claimed thanks to you.
I'll second that.
Mr. 80s
I'm rogue.
crappy
I'm
music.
rogue now. I don't care about copyright claims anymore.
Can't get
I'm
blood
all
from a
for
stone,
the
man.
message, and if we got to do something that's in the gray area of the message, then that's what we got to do.
All right, let's rock and roll, man. Let's get this show on the road.
All right, yeah.
So what did we do
Smeggy's
in the
derailed us enough.
show? What happened in the daytime show that got it pegged? What did we
Apparently,
do?
somebody was playing 80s music.
Yeah, well, was that the Power Stroke or
crap.
something? What the heck
Like,
were you playing?
For the power station?
Yeah, Power Station. Yeah, you totally
So,
got me
I was
jammed.
trying to explain to Smeggy, who's obviously too young to understand what Power Station is and Robert Palmer is, and I was trying. There's actually what was the name of the song that we ended
Stroke
up
me,
finding?
stroke me.
No, that's Billy Squire.
Anyhow, you know how in that one video he's got them girls in the background with the dresses
Yes.
Simply irresistible.
kind of bouncing around. I was just
And
saying,
Addicted to Love.
addicted to love. Thanks. So I was looking for
Simply
that
irresistible.
song.
You got it.
So I was just saying that Marco should be walking around with a bunch of ladies like that, walking behind him. That would be a good representation of gun channels. But somehow, I guess, looking for those videos on the internet begged his chat. Sorry about that.
It's no problem.
There.
So, guns
So-
mounted on planes. What's up with this?
Yeah, so we got an expert in here to tell us all about this. So Squib, what's going on? Why did you want to jump in?
Yeah, hi. I did aviation ordnance in the Marine Corps, and if it doesn't have any ordnance on it, it's just a flying taxi. So ordnance is more than just missiles, rockets, and bombs. It's also guns, and guns are divided into machine guns or cannon, and cannon is 20 millimeter and up. But it's either percussion primed or electrically primed, and they've been using them since the First World War.
How does electronically primed stuff work?
It's like a spark plug. So your M61 six-barrel 20 millimeter Gatling gun, that's say on an F-14 or an F-15, F-4 Phantom, a bunch of other planes, that's percussion primed. The three-barrel M197 20 millimeter cannon on a Cobra helicopter is electrically primed. And I can't remember the specific reason why, off the top of my head, why you've got one system versus another. But more or less, it's just a spark plug in place of where the firing pin would go on the bolt. So it still slides up at an angle through the rotary assembly there in the Gatling gun, but just zaps it and fires it off. That's why static electricity can set off an electrically primed round. And some of these guys would want to take them home as souvenirs. And they told us a story about a guy who put one in his pocket and was walking and created static electricity, and it blew him in half. I don't know if that's true or not, but it was enough to keep me from wanting to take one.
Yeah, that seems kind of scary.
So,
That's a cautionary tale. That's what that is.
Yeah.
what
most of the stuff is-
voltage?
Most
was
of the stuff
required-
is percussion prime, though.
What was the voltage required on these electronic ignition rounds?
Well, the aircraft's 28 volts DC, but I don't know what the bare minimum is to set them off. But I never had any problems handling them. I mean, there was never anything where we put a grounding strap on any of the ammo cans or anything when we were handling them. We did ground the aircraft, but there's not a lot that's electrically primed. Most of it's percussion primed, and you still have to be careful with that too. I mean, say there's a round left in the gun on a minigun. If you spin the barrels doing an inspection, just spinning and you spin the whole assembly, you could inadvertently fire a round that's left in there. You're supposed to spin it, and you hold down a tab. Trying to remember, it's been a while. There's a tab in the back, and you hold it down, and it'll make the round eject as opposed to lock into place and fire. And if you forget to do that, you could actually shoot a hole through your foot or something. They got a bullet trap, It's just a metal cap you put at the end of the barrels on a minigun and clamp it down. M80 ball go right through there. Same thing can happen too with 20 millimeter. There's 100 in a can. If somebody at the factory packs 103 into that can by mistake, and you pull it out of the aircraft after a training mission on a linked belt, and you count 100, and there's still 3 left in the gun, but you think you've got the full amount, and you don't go and spin the gun manually over by hand and see if anything falls out of the feeder, you could be leaving live rounds in there. And somebody did that once, and they went back out to the aircraft later and turned on the power, and they were cycling the gun, and they didn't, once again, check it to make sure there was no ammunition in it, because it hasn't flown in a while. Nobody's been, using it. And they went ahead and they fired the gun. You can do that. You can turn on the power and electrically turn it over and just cycle it. And 3 high explosive rounds went down range and blew the top off of a palm tree and the engine cowling off of another aircraft.
That's what I was going to ask. How big a hole does a 20 millimeter leave directly?
It'll leave a pretty big hole. I mean, it blew the top
Especially
off.
Explosive rounds, like you were saying.
Yeah, and that's just it. The 20 millimeter, there's high explosive incendiary, there's armor piercing, it's like 50 cal almost as far as the variety. And they've got depleted uranium, which is not dangerous. And then they've got the training rounds. They've got the dummy rounds. It's just a slab of aluminum that's the same size and weight and whatnot. And there's no primer, there's no powder, there's no nothing. They've also got just the regular training rounds. It's just I'm guessing it was lead or steel or tungsten or something like that. They're painted blue. They'll fire off, but they're not meant for use in combat.
Now, something like a 20 millimeter, though, that's got some kind of something going on in the projectile, that's going to take some amount of force. I mean, it's designed to not go off when you touch it, but when it's going at terminal velocity, right?
Yeah,
or
yeah.
If you just drop them.
No. There's not a danger of if you just drop one. No. We used to manhandle that stuff. I mean, we weren't doing stupid stuff with like trying to hit it with a hammer or something. But yeah, if you pull it out of the metal can and you drop it onto the concrete tarmac and you drag it and stretch it out so that you can stretch out the belt before you load it in a can, it's not going to hurt it. And then for the fixed wing aircraft, they actually had a machine that you would load it into, and it would cycle up, it looked kind of like a concrete mix or something, and it would feed them up into the aircraft. And then the same thing to take them out when it was done, because a lot of times they go out on training missions, they wouldn't shoot it all off.
What about the bigger stuff then? I'm guessing with all the care and attention they spend when they're loading bombs, those have got to be a little bit different, right?
Oh yeah. There's yeah. I mean, don't get me wrong. Just because you can manhandle the 20 millimeter rounds doesn't mean that we were doing anything stupid with them. But yeah, with the rockets, those can go off real easy. You don't load the aircraft while there's power on. You make sure all the circuit breakers are pulled. You ground the aircraft. You actually put a test set on the bomb racks before you hang them. You check for stray voltage. I mean, there's a lot of precautions you take because you can have something set off some ordnance, and if that thing goes flying across and hits another aircraft, and it's one problem after another. Not to mention, if you're standing next to a rocket pod when it goes off, the blast, the exhaust from the rocket, it'll burn you to death. There's no surviving it. Even if you're standing parallel with it, you're not going to make it.
Yep. So when we're talking
to work on fixed wing as well in regards to munitions.
I trained on fixed wing initially. So Navy Marine Corps trained together, so I was learning how to upload F-14s and F-18s and that sort of thing. And then I got out into rotary wing in the Marine Corps, and the closest I could hope to come in contact with was OV-10s and Harriers. And I was around OV-10s, but we didn't get any Harriers. We weren't what they call reinforced, and that's where they send out a composite helicopter squadron with different kinds of helicopters, and they attach 3 or 4 Harriers. That's called reinforced. We weren't reinforced, but we had all the ordnance on board ship if we ever did take on Harriers. And the Harrier uses a 25 millimeter gun pod that's suspended underneath the aircraft. There's a gun pod on one side and the ammunition on the other. And I don't know if it's the same 25 millimeter that's in the 25 millimeter Bushmaster cannon. I think that's used on the Bradley. I think it is.
How do they aim at when it's in a pod like that?
What you do is you bore sight it on the ground with this equipment. It's called SABE gear, S-A-B-E, sight alignment bore sighting equipment. And it's kind of like doing an alignment on a car where they use the lasers to line up where the tires are supposed to be and that sort of thing. And you have a target and you set it up and you can make adjustments and that's how you set it up ahead of time. That, or you just take a grease pencil and put an X on the canopy, and wherever the rockets are hitting, that's where it's at. But
so if it's like off a little bit, you just use Kentucky windage basically as a pilot.
Kind of, yeah. But they've got for their guns, they've got the sights on there are programmed, and it can adjust for the aircraft's speed and things like that, and it'll adjust the sight there on the heads-up display, and it's really technical and sophisticated. Just like on the helicopters, you've got a helmet sighting system, and wherever the pilot or gunner looks, that gun slaves. So if you look left, the gun slaves left. If you look down, the gun slaves down. Whatever way you look within the operating range of the turret. And it's really cool. You can also put it in a fixed position and just tilt the aircraft and strafe something with the gun fixed. But the fact that it'll follow wherever your right eye is looking is where it'll go. That's really cool.
What was the attack helicopters that the Marine Corps had? Was it Cobras?
Yes, we've got the Cobras. The Army's got the Apache, and the Marine Corps has the Cobras.
That's right.
The Apache uses a 30 millimeter chain gun mounted underneath, and the Cobra uses a 20 millimeter Gatling gun mounted up in the front.
And is that the one that's the 3 barrels?
Yes.
Yep.
Yes.
Okay.
A question that I have is, the Cobras obviously started in the 60s, and the Apaches came out in the mid 80s. And this is just more of your personal opinion than anything else, is why even later on the Marine Corps still hung on to and just simply updated the Cobra rather than either coming up with their own or moving over to the Apache, let alone the Apache longbow. 3 reasons: money, size, reliability.
Yep.
You can take the old airframes and rebuild them. So the Juliet models became the Tango models. The Tango models became the Whiskey models. Now the Whiskey models are the X-ray models, I believe. A lot of people think when they get a new aircraft, they build them all new, and that's not necessarily so. They'll just take them and send them back, and similar to doing depot level maintenance, they'll strip them down to a frame, and they'll build them back up like new with all the new and improved features like engines or whatnot. So it saves you on money, and the Marine Corps has got the smallest budget.
Okay, let me ask you a follow-on question to that is, do they still not have any mast-mounted sensories above the rotor?
Not on the Marine Corps helicopters, not that I'm aware of. I did get a good look at a Yankee model Huey last year, I believe it was, and it didn't have any of that. The sensors are down below. They've got like a laser designator, and we had this little thing. It looked like a sit-down Pac-Man machine that you put in the back of the Huey, and that's where you could see through the camera, I guess, not or whatnot, and aim the laser. And the Huey would spot and splash the target with the laser, and the Cobra would fire the Hellfire missiles, and the Hellfire missile would lock onto the target. So they'd work as a team. So a lot of that stuff was underneath.
Yeah.
The Army helicopters do a different mission, kind of. I mean, in a way.
That's why you guys had what you had, and they have what they have, and the Air Force have what they have, and the Navy has it. You're all a team, right? But you're all doing different parts of the job. So you require a different tool to do those jobs, such as a vertical takeoff and landing aircraft.
And different training and all that. And when we work together as a team, it's great because, it's the best military in the world. And sometimes we can overlap and we can share things. When I was hanging out with the Army in Egypt, they had what did they have? They had I I think they had Foxtrot model Cobras, which they used the same weapon systems as ours, but everything else on it was different engine and all that. And they wanted some parts that were on ours that were compatible with theirs that weren't in their publications. They didn't have the part numbers for there. So when I got back on ship, I got the part numbers and I mailed them to the pilot that was asking me for them, and he sent me a thank you letter. They wanted some stuff to help with getting all the dirt up in the turret, and our helicopters were equipped to deal with that, and theirs weren't.
Oh, come on, you can be honest. You just wanted FM and AM.
You know what? When I got to hang out with the Army, it was really cool because it kind of broke down some of those barriers where it's like, oh, you're better than us, or we're better than you, or you know, they had some of the same stuff the Marine Corps had. They just called it by a different name and whatnot. I mean, the training's different and all that, but those guys, they were a lot of fun. But the Cobra is also smaller than the Apache, and on a ship, space is everything. So it fits in a tight space. And then the Apache was, I guess it was more cool than the Cobra, it was more popular than the Cobra. It also broke down a lot more than the Cobra. The Cobra had been around longer, and it was a lot more reliable design. And the Apache, they told us that for every hour it was in the air, it was on the ground 110 maintenance hours. So between what's required to maintain it and the breakdowns, that's what happened there. But the Apache, the Apache was, I mean, really successful in the Gulf Wars and whatnot. So it's proved itself.
When you talk about how much it costs to maintain these things, you got to look at the size of the force that's getting them too. So if the Marines don't have that kind of budget to put that kind of resources into running a helicopter.
Right. And and there's different rules too. Like, for example, we couldn't tow our aircraft with anything other than a tug. The Army guys were towing their aircraft around with a Humvee. I thought that was so cool. You know, it's like, wow, I wish we could do this. So yeah, there's just different rules and whatnot. Also, the compatibility for the engines. For a while there, the Cobras and Hueys shared the same engines and whatnot. So that kind of helped as far as not having to stock as many parts, not having to train people as much, that sort of thing. But all the aircraft, I mean, they use a lot of similar equipment for ordnance. I mean, your missile launcher for Sidewinder missiles is the same. A lot of the bomb racks were the same. And on a bomb rack, you can hang, a fuel tank. You can hang a stores pod. You can hang a rocket pod. You could hang a rack for missiles, or you can hang 1 bomb, 3 bombs, 6 bombs. Just depends. Most of the time they carried fuel tanks. They don't fly around fully loaded all the time. And just because an aircraft has a certain capacity for rounds doesn't mean that it flies with a maximum amount of ammo either. A lot of times we could carry 750 rounds for our 3-barrel Gatling gun on the Cobra, the M197. We rarely took up more than 350, 450 rounds at a time. We rarely maxed them out.
So that actually brings up a question that I was wanting to get in a little bit earlier, just kind of going back to the guns on planes in general, or airplanes or whatever. Like, how much ammo do they take up? Like, I guess not necessarily a number or whatever, but I guess my thing is, like, how long can they stay in the fight with the ammo they have? I think of like the Warthog, right? They say, oh, this is a cool plane and all this stuff. But then you hear that they fire their main gun for like 10 seconds and that's it. Like, they got to go land back at base. Like, that's all they get. So are other planes like that as well, or can they engage for a while before they have to go get filled back up with more bullets?
No, that's where I come in, and the refuelers come in. We would set up what they call a FARP, F-A-R-P, Forward Armor Refueling Point. So we're the only air wing guys that are on the front lines. We're near where the battle's happening, and what we've got is a defensive position we've set up with fuel and ammo and our personal weapons. And we have no protection from, grunts or anybody else protecting us. It's us protecting ourselves. The helicopters fly in. They support the Marines on the ground that are fighting. When they run out of fuel or ammo or both, they fly back to us, and we're very close to the battle site, as opposed to them having to fly 50 or 500 miles back to the base to refuel. The guys on the ground don't have that sort of time to wait to get air support again. And we've only got so many aircraft in the theater at any given time, or in certain areas, you got guys over here, guys over there. You can't always turn everybody around and hit them to one place. So we would be nearby, and we would be in there, and we'd do what they call a hot pump. We'd actually have the aircraft turning, and we'd pump the fuel while they're turning, and we'd load ordnance, even though we weren't supposed to, while the engines were turning, and they'd get back up in the air and back in the fight.
But
it's
still,
hard,
they're looking at kind of like engaging a target and then coming back and resupplying, engaging a target, or
well, no,
you
can make multiple passes. You can make, yeah. I mean, these things fire fast, but they don't fire that fast.
Okay, I was just curious, and I'm not, like I said, I'm not looking for specific stuff, and I don't know if we border on secrets here or not, but
no.
I was just curious if they can cruise around for a little bit, and then you guys are there real close to fill them up and send them back on their way so they can go get more bad guys.
Now, see, you can do that with helicopters. It's a lot harder to do that with fixed-wing aircraft unless you can set up some sort of improvised airfield or something like that. But they're fast movers, so they can get back to the base, load up, and get back in the fight pretty quick themselves because of their speed. I mean, a helicopter doesn't fly. I mean, a fast helicopter still isn't doing 200 miles an hour. So, whereas a fixed-wing aircraft, they can just go, and they've got tankers, so they're not worried about running out of gas or whatnot. But yeah, you can make multiple passes, even firing. Trying to remember some of the cyclic rates. I think on the M197 3-barrel 20 millimeter, I think it was 750 rounds per minute, and so I'd say the M61A1 20 millimeter 6-barrel that you'd find on the fast movers, that would be double that, so it'd be probably 1,500 rounds a minute. But they would carry a lot. They could carry a lot more ammo on board. You still wouldn't see something carrying like 1,000 rounds or something like that. But now the GAU 8 Avenger on the A10, that would it carried an enormous amount of ammo. But it worked just like the minigun as far as having two gun speeds. It had guns high and guns low, and I want to say guns high and guns low on both of them. For the minigun, it was like 21 rounds per minute on guns low and 42 rounds per minute on guns high. And I want to say the GAU 8 was something like 2,100 rounds per minute and 4,200 rounds per minute, with guns high, guns low. It's been a while, so I don't remember it as well as I used to. But
it's very fast, but it's not like they're holding down the trigger for a minute at a time either.
No, but what you don't want to do is you don't want to tap the trigger. If you tap the trigger, you'll jam the whole gun. It's very easy to jam a Gatling gun if you have some sort of feed problem or whatnot, because the electric motor is spinning over at such a high rate of speed. So what you do is on the trigger, they've got a detent. So your first push in is 16 rounds plus or minus 4 rounds, and nobody uses that damn thing. Then if you pull the trigger all the way, it just fires until you let off. So really, what the best thing to do is pull the trigger back, count a couple seconds, release the trigger all the way, let your finger out all the way, let the gun cycle down on its own, let it spin down, then pull the trigger again. If you just go tap, 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 you'll jam that thing right up, because it's spinning up, it's spinning down, it's spinning up, it's spinning down. The same thing with guns high and guns low. You don't go right to guns high. You start up in guns low and give it a few seconds, and then you switch to guns high. If you don't allow it to ramp up its speed properly, you'll jam the weapon.
Very cool.
Now,
man.
at that forward armoring position, like you're talking about, are you also able to do the Osprey and or man, why can't I think of it? The other vertical takeoff landing. I said it earlier. Harrier. Thank you. Yeah, are you also able to do those at those positions, or that's a totally different setup?
I have not heard of a Harrier coming into a FARP site, but I'm not going to say you can't. I guess it's just because I didn't train with Harriers. I trained how to load them in a school, but not actually out in the fleet. The Osprey was still in prototype when I got out, and I wouldn't fly on one of them damn death traps.
Well, I have to admit to you, sir, that I think it was just last year. It was either last year or the year before out here at we lost some Marines out here in the state of Hawaii due to some Osprey malfunctions.
The Osprey was being tested for about 20 years before they even went to prototype, and the X-15 was the experimental model that they were using, and they had nothing but issues with it. Constantly crashing. They were losing air crews all the time. When they got it into the V-22, the MV-22 version. They were still testing the prototypes. They were crashing left and right, and there's just a lot of issues. Now, I mean, it's been proven in combat. It does work, but I guess it's just because I'm old school. I wouldn't get in one of them.
Man, I understand completely.
My dad said the same thing about CH-46, and that was my favorite helicopter when I was in. And he said I wouldn't fly in one of them damn egg beaters, and he was in Vietnam. So I guess from generation to generation, it changes.
And which one was that? That was the Chinook?
No, this is a little brother to the Chinook. It's called a Sea Knight, but we called them frogs.
I think I know which one you're talking. It's scalable to the Chinook, though. Yeah.
Correct.
Yep.
But it doesn't have the lift capacity. Also, the power plant's inside the airframe as opposed to mounted outside, that sort of thing.
Okay. Cool.
And you know, a lot of the aircraft, whether it be the old World War II aircraft or modern day helicopters, a lot of them carried 50 cal machine guns. And I mean, they're all over the place, and you can count on that thing. I'd rather have a 50 cal than a minigun any day. You know, the fixed wing aircraft, obviously in the 50s, after the F-86 Sabre, they went from the 50 cals to the 20 millimeter, but they did that because they captured a MiG-15 and they found it had a machine gun and it had a 37 millimeter cannon on it. And it's a slow firing cannon with high explosive projectiles. And that was to take out American bombers. And once they saw that, they said, oh man, we got to get cannon on these aircraft. Even though the technology had been around. I mean, Japanese Zeros had a machine gun and a 20 millimeter cannon on board. So the Luftwaffe, or a lot of their aircraft had one or two different caliber cannons on board. So cannon technology had been around for a long time. It's just it took us a while to realize that the Soviets were doing it, and we needed to go to that. But some of the aircraft still carried machine guns, like the OV-10 carried 4 M60s. That was phased out in the mid-90s, so that aircraft is now just in service with the Forestry Service for spotting forest fires and whatnot. But most of the aircraft, because they can handle the weight and whatnot, and you need that punch, whether it be to hit a target on the ground or take out an aircraft in the sky. You got a cannon versus a machine gun, but the 50 cals are everywhere though.
Oh snap! We got an air raid.
It's the battle for Britain. Let me temporarily interrupt this topic. We'll get right back to it, because right now we're going to go ahead and run the tactical pop quiz of the day. So those of you on YouTube, get your text down into the text box, and those of you over on Gun Channels, you should already know what to do. And my official Z, are you ready? Do you see the question as well as the answer?
Standing by.
Okay, and either of those is certainly correct and acceptable. I'll let you make the judgment call. Okay, the question is as follows, and I shall read it twice. What Soviet pistol was commonly given as gifts or awards to government or party officials? What Soviet pistol was commonly given as gifts or awards to government or party officials? That is the question.
That's a pretty good question. So far, we've stunned both of the chats. PSM, I believe, is incorrect. The P-30, I believe, is incorrect. The G-19 is incorrect. The Makarov is incorrect. Again, Russian party officials. Come on. Oh, bing, bing, bing. Chris, and Chris on the Gun Channel side. The Korovin is the answer we are looking for. Either the Korovin or the TK pistol. So
congratulations, Chris. You are a tactical pop quiz winner of today. Head on over to dailygunshow.com/pop quiz. Fill out the form, put your first, second, and third choice in case one of the others is already taken, and congratulations.
And yes, that is, yeah, Chris knows who he is. He knows he's a winner. That makes you the tactical pop quiz hot shot for today. So good job, brother. Way to win.
All right. Back to aviation. Just to show you, it can happen at any time.
At any time, whether you're ready or not.
So Squib, I just took advantage of that temporary pause there to go ahead and insert a little surprise.
Well, I tell you what, we've only got Dano for a couple more minutes, and then the schedule we can do anytime. So do you guys want to continue on with the schedule, or if Scars is down, we continue, or Squib is down, sorry, we continue to talk aviation firearms? We really didn't get into some of the nuts and bolts, like I was going to ask about, guns specifically in planes. We could also have you back sometime if you're able. So what do you guys think? Which way should we head?
Well, let's ask Squib if he has time, number one.
Yeah, sure. I get as excited as talking about aviation ordnance as G does about bands.
Oh, well, then now that's a statement. Dana, where are you at with your time?
Your popcorn and your hot chocolate. You're here for the night.
I'm here till about top of the hour.
Okay. Dana, do you want to try and do some of the stuff, or you want to continue on the path that we're on?
I'm good either way. We got Squib here. Why not take advantage of him while he's here?
All right, I'm with you on that. I second that motion.
That's the motto of our show. Take advantage of whoever it is.
Take advantage.
That and suck it up, Buttercup. So, G, if you got some questions lined up for Squib, let's start rolling through some of those.
Yep.
Well, I don't know if I have any specific ones, but just as far as guns, you kind of talked about how the computers and whatnot help you figure out what you're shooting at. What other kind of stuff makes a gun on an airplane different than a regular gun?
Well, for one thing, your Gatling guns run off an electric motor, and that requires a lot of support equipment. So you've got to have the power source is the aircraft, and then there's a power converter box, and that's something that carrying all that heavy weight around wouldn't be practical. So you really can't Jesse the body a minigun. I mean, you can hold one, and I've seen the FPS Russia video where he shoots one. They don't show all the support equipment behind him because it's dark out, but the aircraft can hold that sort of weight. And then as far as the bore sighting of the guns, I've seen a rifle scope bore sighted with an insert you put at a barrel and a pattern on a clear mylar sheet, and that's really just a mechanical way of doing what we do with lasers and whatnot. I mean, it's not much different than some sort of like I said, aligning a car's tires or whatnot. The computer in the aircraft that takes into account airspeed and things like that, or works with it's trying to think of the name of it. It uses a radar in the gun sight or something. It's been a while. I'm trying to remember exactly how it works, but what it does is it calculates everything together so that when it's in your heads-up display, when you're looking in that little square box and then it changes shape, that's when it's telling you, hey, your projectile is going to hit right here now. You're I don't want to really say as much locked on as much as you're lined up. And when two aircraft are turning, that has an effect on that sort of thing. And these computers are able to calculate all that stuff. If you lose your heads-up display in combat, you're screwed. It has all your other relevant information like your altitude and your airspeed and things like that. But the little box in there that they look through tells them where the gun's pointed at. They can get an idea of what they're doing, but these guys also have to practice. They can't rely solely on the computer, and they don't always get a chance to shoot at something else in the air. There'll be times where the fixed-wing aircraft that are fighters will strafe at a target on the ground on a bombing range or whatnot, just to get practice using the guns and whatnot, because the drones that they shoot down and things like that stuff, it gets expensive. Even though they're retired military aircraft and whatnot, every time they send them up, they don't necessarily shoot them down. So it's a little bit of both. It's a little bit of good old-fashioned training, and it's a little bit of relying on the technology.
Well, I'm assuming that from what I've read in the pamphlets, that when the pilots are coming back from their runs, and if they have extra ammo, they'll just shoot it into hospitals or playgrounds as practice, right?
Yeah, I can't really say that I've met any pilots.
Oh, why
that
would you do that, dude? Honestly.
That was fun. ISIS.
Yeah, he might have got that in an ISIS pamphlet, but really they can't count on the fact that if they expend all their ordnance before they get back, that they won't get turned around. There might be some, Marine or soldier on the ground that needs them, and I can't see anybody coming back saying, "Hey, yeah, I dumped everything on the mountainside a couple miles before the base." That would be, that's a lot of valuable time you would lose if you were minutes away from returning to base and they said, "We need you to go back. They need you," and you're going, "Oh crap! I just pickled everything right off." That wouldn't work out so well. Granted, they don't like you to land on the flight deck with bombs and missiles on board unless you absolutely have to. Guns are a little bit different, but they like you. So when you go on a training mission or a combat mission, they do like you to expend everything. Or if they're concerned about it, they'll just have you pickle it off into the water. But sometimes they will land with ordnance under wings. As far as the guns, all that stuff is fairly secure.
So, as somebody that supports and maintains and then resupplies and whatnot, do they give you orientation up in them? So, do you know what's going on up there, or is it just the pilots that get to fly around?
Well, we know how to use them. In an emergency situation, I suppose they'd grab an ordnance guy to man a gun if they had to. I can tell you, I met the guy who was he flew with George Bush in World War II, and he was on every mission with George Bush except the one where he got shot down. And he's an ordnance guy, or was. I don't know if he's passed away or not. But I met him at an air show, and I got to work on his Avenger dive bomber. That was a lot of fun. And he was aviation ordnance as well, and they put him on the 50 cal on the back. That's on the ball turret there. Well, if you want to call it a ball turret on the back. So because he worked on the aircraft's weapon systems, they let him shoot the gun, one of the guns on the plane. The pilot obviously had the wing-mounted guns under his control. I know that they had a program in the rotary wing where anybody who wanted to and who could pass all the training and whatnot could become an AOG, which is the aerial observer gunner. And it wasn't just the mechanics and the ordnance guys, but mostly it was people in those fields that would do it. And that means that you now become part of the air crew, and you're expected to man the gun, and you're expected to be an extra set of eyes for the pilot, whether it be on the ground, in the air, or whatnot, and you're talking to them on the radio and that sort of thing. You're not necessarily responsible for the aircraft like a crew chief. That's a separate thing, even though they're gunners as well. And I got to go up once and shoot the 50 cal, and it was a blast. It was a lot of fun. I'll never forget it. But I didn't go into training to be an AOG. I wanted to, but I wasn't in long enough for it.
Now, I just have a curiosity question here. With the Blackhawks, typically the crew chief would also be one of the auxiliary gunners, as well as be off with every single mission. Well, at least in the Army.
Yeah. See, I don't know exactly how it is in the Army. In the Marine Corps, the crew chief is a mechanic who's assigned to that aircraft. His name's on the aircraft, not the pilot's. And the AOG would be the guy manning the gun on the other side. So say you had a Huey that went up and he had a 50 cal on one side and a minigun on the other. One's going to be on one gun, one's going to be on the other. And then you have a pilot and a co-pilot up front. And then depending on whether or not it's equipped to carry a laser, you'd have somebody operating the laser, or you could be carrying troops. Or if you've got a minigun and a 50 cal on the old Hueys, they couldn't carry much more weight than that. So at that point, it just became a gunship. With the new Hueys, they can carry more weight, so that's not an issue. People seem to think that the guns aren't that heavy, so it's not a big deal. But the ammo weighs the aircraft down big time.
We talk about that almost. I don't want to say we talk about that all the time, but we definitely bring it up when we're talking about personal loadouts and stuff like that. And when we're talking about caliber size of what you choose, you can carry 1,000 rounds of 22 if you want, but you ain't carrying 1,000 rounds of 308 on your person. So I imagine once you're talking, like, you're literally talking thousands of rounds. So yeah, that weight probably kicks right up.
Well, to give you an example, an Army Chinook, if they've got 2 or 3 guns on board and they've got lots of ammo, they can still carry a full load of troops, and it doesn't really phase them because that aircraft has got lifting power. The same thing with the CH-53 in the Marine Corps. That has so much lifting power that we put what was it? I think we put 1,500 rounds of 50 cal on board plus 2 guns, and we carry a full load of troops, and it wouldn't even phase the aircraft. The CH-46, we carry about the same amount of ammo, and we carry about 9 troops on board. The Huey, back when I was in, the power plants didn't have the energy or the strength that they've got now, and then it became an issue. So the smaller aircraft, it's a little bit of a problem. With the bigger aircraft, not really. And the bigger aircraft's got so much room on board, you can have all these ammo cans, right down the middle, and it doesn't matter. I mean, worst case, if the weight was that big of an issue, you just pitch it out the back.
Which you don't really want to ever have to do that, really.
No, and something about the 50 cals you carry on a helicopter are not as heavy as the 50 cals they use on the ground.
I got 2 quick questions because I got to bounce out here just in a couple of minutes. But the first one is, do guns on planes require a break-in for the barrel and/or action? The other question is, generally, how many rounds do these guns run between cleanings?
As far as a break, I don't ever recall seeing one on any machine gun, or, well, I should say not machine gun, cannon. On the machine guns, on the M60s that we used, at the same flash suppressor break at the end that the grunts used. But on the minigun, they ended up putting flash suppressors on them about halfway through the time I was in, and now it's pretty standard. But on cannon or 50 cal, I never saw any sort of a break. There's a flash suppressor for the 50 cal. And what was the other part there?
Actually, I meant break in. In other words, you have a brand new gun that's never been fired. It doesn't need to get broken in before it's certified ready.
Oh, I'm sorry. I thought you meant muzzle brake. Break in? No, there was never any break in. We had barrel erosion gauges, and we would check them periodically. And if they were too worn, we just shit can the barrel and threaded another one in there. As far as cleaning we did more as a matter of, regular scheduled maintenance. And we did that on 7, 14, 28-day schedules. The area observer gunner and the crew chief were responsible for cleaning the weapon afterward. We were responsible for cleaning it in the armory or cleaning it before it went on the aircraft. So just like your M16 or whatnot, it got cleaned, whether it sat gathering dust in the armory or whether it got used. We clean guns all the time, but it's not that hard. It's not that hard to clean them. We were really more concerned about corrosion on the outside where we were at because we had all that salt spray from the ocean.
Somebody did have a question about how much dunnage have you thrown into the woods, and I don't know if that's a trick question. I don't know if that's something that I should know what it is, or I may think of.
Well, I know what dunnage is, but what do you mean into the woods?
Yeah.
Most people don't realize how much ordnance you drop. Like you say, you don't want to land loaded, and if you're going out for training and something happened and you didn't do whatever you're supposed to do and you came back with a lot of ordnance, you're gonna a lot of times just drop it in the approach to the airfield, right?
Well, not necessarily. I mean, the guys at the ammo dump didn't like taking the ammo back. So we would, whatever they didn't shoot, we would go ahead and we'd pack back up and send back to the ammo dump and just listen to them grumble. But as far as not returning to the carrier with something under the wings, that was more of a safety issue. Could you risk something falling off the aircraft, going skidding across the flight deck and taking out 94 other aircraft just because you wanted to save thousands of dollars. You're already spending thousands of dollars in maintenance, and you're spending thousands of dollars for jet fuel. That doesn't mean that they never landed with ordnance. There were times where they had to, because they had trouble pickling it off or whatnot. But the guns were never really an issue because that's internal in the aircraft. It's not going to come flying off or flying out or that sort of thing. Now on a land base, it's different. They're not as worried. You're not on a pitching flight deck in the middle of the ocean where you've got nowhere to go. I mean, granted, it's still dangerous. If you had a bomb come off the aircraft and bounce back up into the aircraft as it was landing, and I mean, or the worst thing is if the aircraft comes in, crashes, and catches fire, and all that ordnance got all that heat coming into it. You can't just put it out like a regular fire. It's bad enough that jet fuel burns really hot and it's hard to put out. But if you've got that heat going through the shell of the bomb into the explosive in the center, if you try to cool it off too fast, you'll push the heat into the center and you could detonate it. I suppose it'd work the same way with a big enough cannon shell. So you have to cool it off gradually and keep the heat on the outside of the bomb, not force it towards the inside. So they'd use foam to snuff the fire, but it wouldn't necessarily chill it. So there's a lot of danger.
The foam also takes away the oxygen faster than water would, yes?
Correct.
And I mean, I've never been in the military, but I have worked on several large ocean-going vessels and stuff like that. And one of the first things that they're always going to beat into your skull is one of the worst things that can ever happen on a boat is fire. It's not like on land. Yeah. If it puts a hole in the boat, that's pretty much the end of your day.
But come on, you guys are surrounded by water. It's really easy. Just pick up some water and dump it on the fire.
That does not work always like that, especially if the fire is internal.
You say that, but you've also got a lot of fuel on board. You got a lot of ordnance on board.
You Navy people are a bunch of pansies. Just splash some water on. It's not that hard. You're surrounded by it.
The water that you use in the coming out of the fire hoses on the ship is salt water right out of the ocean. But they've got lots of AFFF, which is aqueous foam forming film, which is just in buckets all over the place, and they'll use that to snuff a fire. And I mean, we always kept the fire extinguisher when we're starting up the aircraft. I've only seen flame come out of the engine once, where the crew chief had to hit it with the fire extinguisher. Otherwise, it's just a precaution. These things cost millions and millions of dollars, and if anything goes wrong that affects any of the aircraft around or the people around, you're talking about a lot more lives than just the air crew on the aircraft. So you've got to take good care of the people and of the taxpayer dollars. So.
Yep.
Well, I guess I was kind of teasing, but okay. Thanks for that answer.
Funny guy. All right. Any more? Do we have any gun questions for guns mounted on planes out in the chat at all?
I don't get this on large GE guns. Many of the components are silver plated. I never saw any silver. I don't know what that is.
I just wonder if it is due to, like, how they nickel bore on a bolt. I'm just wondering if
they might do that now, but I didn't notice any special finishes on anything when I was in. I mean, I didn't know as much about guns back then as I do now, and I'm still not an internet gun expert, but I don't remember any special coatings on anything. We never had to worry about cleaning them with anything that you wouldn't use on an M16 or M60. So lots of CLP. It's not the only thing we use, but lots of CLPs. So.
Robbie does ask, Squib, what was the craziest thing that you could actually tell us saw happen on a flight deck?
Craziest thing.
And I do believe this is an 18 or over chat. So I mean, if you got to be real.
If he's talking about crossing the equator, I don't want to talk about that.
Okay, that's fair enough. So what would be the craziest thing that you can or are willing to talk about seeing?
See, the whole can or are willing. I don't recall anything happening that was some sort of top secret government thing where they're like, you can never talk about this to anybody. And you'll run into guys that will say, oh yeah, man, I saw things, but I can't talk about them. They're full of crap. It's just like every Marine was a sniper. No, they weren't. Everybody in the Navy was a SEAL. No, they weren't. So some of this, but I can't talk about that. That's just somebody that's. I mean, enough stuff comes out, and there's, you know, if there's 50,000 witnesses to something that happened during training or combat, it's kind of going to be awful hard to keep all of them quiet for forever. So I'm trying to think of the craziest thing I've seen. The craziest thing I've seen. Man. Probably nothing that would be really that funny. I mean,
well, in this documentary, I saw them bring entertainers onto the boat for the Rear Admiral. I think it was his birthday, and they had this big cake, and then but the stripper fell asleep in the cake, and in the meantime, I think the boat got taken over.
Yeah, well, we had SEALs on our ship, but Steven Seagal wasn't in them, so
Okay.
yeah. The craziest thing I can think of is just our party when we crossed the equator. But I was thinking they were talking about maybe some sort of accident on the flight deck or something like that.
That could be too. Yeah.
Yeah, we were real lucky. We had a great safety record in my squadron. Other squadrons weren't as lucky. I know that we came over to Somalia from the East Coast, and my buddy was on a similar ship coming over from the West Coast. And on the way over, they lost an aircraft right over the side because, yeah, and that's a lot of money. But yeah, I mean, some of the stuff, parts getting blown over the side of the ship, or the rotor wash picking up something and blowing it across the flight deck, or something like that.
Literally, oh shit, that's $10,000.
Oh yeah. We had somebody, they didn't secure a cowling that covered an engine on a Huey, and it was either rotor wash or wind or something, got it and snapped it right off the aircraft and sent it right over the side of the ship. And they had to order another one from America and have it flown out and whatnot.
You mean you can't pull the boat right over to the convenience store and pick one of those up? They're not readily available?
They don't even have them on the pre-positioning ships. And so the aircraft was down for a couple of weeks because without the cowling, you know, stuff could get in there. And the CO pulled everybody together and said, look, it was a $50,000 or $55,000 part or something. He says, I'm not mad about the money. What I'm mad is that there wasn't attention paid to detail, and this could have been something worse. This could have, you know, fallen off the aircraft.
Somebody,
something like that. Yeah. And he says, you know, you guys can't be making mistakes like this. And he dismissed us. And the guy didn't get in trouble for it. They figured out who let the thing loose, and he didn't get in trouble for it. But it was a lesson learned. We had one helicopter came in too shallow, and he almost put it in the water. Everybody went running over to the port side of the ship because we all thought for sure we were going to get a show. And right before the skids hit the water, he managed to pull out. It was that was probably the biggest oh shit moment as far as having an accident. But most of the time when these ships go out, they come back with, you know, missing a few people because these accidents happen all the time. So
like somebody getting blown over the side, or just with the rolling of the waves and stuff like that, with the rolling of the ocean. I mean, if you got 30-foot seas going, dude, the ship may be huge, but it's still moving at a pretty good yaw.
One of my instructors,
channels.
Yeah, I guess so. One of my instructors at my A school got blown off a carrier, and he told us what it was like. It was enough to make me keep my head on a swivel.
So they were obviously able to retrieve him?
Yes.
Well, then.
Yeah, he says, I got a free ride in a helicopter. Yeah, that's not the way I want one.
No kidding.
Yeah.
I thought maybe they'd make him like just swim back to the boat and climb up on it.
Well, it is easy to fall off the side, and until they do a head count, they might not know that you're missing.
And it takes a minute or two for that boat to turn around, by the way.
Oh yeah, they're not going to turn around for you.
No, they don't turn around.
That's all I'm saying.
They'll do one of two things. They'll either drop the whaleboat off the side and send that to come get you. They'll pluck you out of the water with a stick, or they'll send one of the helicopters, and they've got what is that? Like a winch on the side there, and they can pull you out.
Pull you out like the coasties do.
Yeah, we had something on all of our cargo helicopters, not our our light attack, but our cargo, that we could do it, but we hardly ever use that sort of thing. We let the Coast Guard do their job. We let the Navy Helicopter Combat Support Squadron with their rescue version of our helicopter do their job. We had it in case we needed it, but we had enough enough support from those guys. They were pros at it, and you know, we could do it if we had to, but they could do it proficiently, and we just let them do their job.
Artisan Tony makes a good point that we're not being good hosts. We should probably introduce everybody again. So Dano had to drop out because he has a 9 to 5 that conflicts with our new time slot, but he is able to join us for about an hour every day. We got Smeggy in here. I'm not sure where you are in the country right now, but you're normally from Michigan.
Yeah, that's where I'm at right now, in the mitten.
And then we got Z jumping in from Maui.
Yep, aloha.
I'm down here in Arizona. And Squib, where are you at?
Michigan.
Oh, all right. So we got 2 people from
Hey,
Michigan.
don't give him an O.
We taking over,
Hey, hold
boys.
on a second there with that O remark.
I'm just saying, first they take a big chunk of Wisconsin, they have a big fight with Ohio, and now they're taking
Oh,
over.
that wasn't a fight, by the way.
No, it wasn't even close. We
Not
didn't break a
even.
sweat.
Said here, have Toledo. Shut up.
Quit desert shaming me.
We tricked them into thinking that Toledo was nice, and we took the whole UP. I mean, come on.
Nice. And then see, G-Webs, you just riled up the gun channels chat just enough to make sure everybody was still paying attention.
You woke them
So
up.
I guess we're trying to introduce everybody again, though. And Squib, you are, it sounds like marine, what would you call it? Marine aviation?
Yes.
So,
Yeah, you found out what the topic was going to be on today's show, and I know I was on earlier today in Gun Channels. You just asked, hey, can I jump in the daily show? I might have some information about that.
Yeah, before I went to work, I decided to check the lobby chat, and you guys were actually on it. And I was looking at on YouTube where you can set up the show reminders, and it says guns on aircraft, and I'm like, oh, this is my thing. So yeah, I was just I'm glad to be allowed on the show.
Truly, thanks for joining us and providing us with information and putting up with some of our bad jokes. And I mean, again, thank you.
I've been listening to gun channels for over a year, and I've learned a lot from you guys about things I wasn't familiar with, I didn't know about, and I've learned to change my mind on a few things, and I find it entertaining as well as informative, and you know, aviation ordnance is my thing. Obviously, that doesn't translate over very well in the civilian world. It's not like anybody's ever asked me to fix a minigun or something like that. But I guess it's just something that I'm interested in. I'm interested in military history. I love military history, so I do know some about aviation ordnance in the past. You know, World War I, World War II, Korea, things like that. I don't remember as much as I used to know.
all right. So now if you got time and you guys got time, we're basically running until Yankee starts, I guess. Something like that.
Well, let's work our way through the show. If we go over, we go over. If we don't, we don't. But I mean, I think we can finish this up in 45 minutes, don't you?
Well, I was just going to say, then let me dig in and ask. You talked about aviation, like what do you call it, like munition history or whatever. And is that something that is part of the curriculum or something that you pursued on your own because you were just interested?
On my own. The only thing that
is it something that's encouraged by the units because they're proud of their past and it's not necessarily officially part of the curriculum, but everybody does it anyway? Or is it you literally just pursued it on your own?
On my own, but in the military, or at least in the Marine Corps, in the units I trained with, and the unit I was in when I was out in the fleet, the part of our past that is part of our training, or is something that they do stress, is accident history. So they don't really talk about what kind of guns were in an S8 Crusader, because we don't fly them anymore, or at least at that time we didn't fly them anymore, that sort of thing. But they might talk about an ammunition ship that caught fire in World War II and the chain reaction that it caused as a guide to safety. So safety, whether it's World War II, Vietnam, or Desert Storm, it doesn't matter. Safety is safety. So we did learn about old accidents. Somebody had in the chat, you'll have to forgive me, I have to keep stepping away from my computer. They're talking about John McCain on the Forrestal. that was something that was in our training. There was a lot of safety training, a lot of videos of accidents and things like that that I saw in training before I saw it on any sort of documentary or World's Wildest Videos or any TV show like that. And what happened on the Forrestal was a real accident. I mean, it was a 5-inch Zuni rocket, which, to give you an idea, if any of you have ever seen a Sidewinder, imagine a Sidewinder with no fins. That's a Zuni. And all it is an unguided rocket with a high explosive warhead. And the ship's radar set that rocket off. It's called RADHAZ, radiation hazard. And it's just like, it's kind of like static electricity, sort of. And it set off the rocket. It flew across the flight deck, and it hit a bunch of fully armed, fully fueled light attack aircraft. One of them, John McCain, was in, and blew one of them up and killed a bunch of people and started a big fire. And they went in to try to fight the fire, and some of the ordnance went off, and that killed all the guys that ran in to try to fight the fire and save the air crew. And John McCain got burned trying to get out of his aircraft and damaged his ship, and it was something major. But the Forrestal stayed operational, and even though we lost a lot of guys and stuff, there was a lot of things learned from it. And it's not the only accident that happened. And there was some kid that pulled the cord on a flare. They used to drop flares out of the bottom of the aircraft, and they'd have a parachute, and it'd light up the battlefield. This before they, the night vision was good and was widespread. And they would carry these huge flares. And this is magnesium. It burns at, I forget what, like 5,000 degrees or some crazy thing like that. And once you pull the cord on it that ignites it, there's no turning it off. There's no safety pin or something you can do to stop it. And some kid was carrying it up to the flight deck, and he was on the catwalk or something. And he pulled the cord, he got it hung up on a door handle or something, and he freaked out, and he opened the nearest thing he could find, which was a locker full of these things, tossed it in there, and set the ship on fire. So, I mean, there's all kinds of accidents that can happen, and one of the things they kept saying, safety is paramount, safety is paramount. And, the same thing follows through with the firearms, with firearms training. It's safety is paramount.
True words. True words.
I remember one time we were taking all the tracers out of linked belts, 7.62 by 51. So every fifth round was a tracer. And they were using night vision goggles and lasers, and they didn't want any tracers. And I'm pulling them out, and I'm just plopping them in a bucket. And I got my ass chewed off for it, because they said, look around. I was in the magazine of the ship at the very bottom center of the ship, surrounded by ordnance, tons and tons of ordnance, enough ordnance to fight a war. And they're like, look, these things are pretty safe. You can drop them and stuff like that. But do you really want to risk setting off something down here and blowing the ship in half? And it's all your fault. And that's when I got real familiar with all these books with all these stories of all these accidents. And, I was young, and I didn't think much of it until I started reading about all these people that had these accidents because they didn't think it would happen to them, or they thought they were okay, or they just they knew the rules but they broke them and that sort of thing. And it changed my attitude. I mean, not that I was reckless overall, but I didn't really think much of it. Even though there was lots of dangerous things that we handled every day, I knew what they could do. I just tried to handle them safely. But then that one time, you just don't toss rounds in a bucket. So.
Lesson learned.
I don't know how far we're going to keep going with it because, like I say, we have to end it at some point, and we might as well transition out. So I think I'll transition out by saying thanks for your service from everybody who's listening. Really can't imagine what it's like. I mean, I was in the service, but it wasn't anywhere near the same kind of thing that it must be, I guess, to some extent on an air crew. But when you guys are on a boat like that, and every single person has basically, the responsibility, everybody's souls on board, right? That's got to be a kind of camaraderie and brotherhood that I can't even imagine. It's pretty neat. So thanks for that insight to it, and thanks for coming on. Like Smeggy said, it was just sort of a organic thing, and definitely that's why we do the show. So hopefully this will encourage other people, inspire other people to jump on and do something similar, tell us about their experience, and hopefully we'll have you back. I know Bob's going to be pissed, which is kind of nice that he's not here to miss all this. But I'm sure
Bob can talk military history.
Oh yeah, I'm sure Bob would definitely like to have you back, and we can we can BS about this stuff. Ideally, we'll be on the road checking out some of the air museums and stuff too.
Excellent. Outstanding.
All right.
So in between the first and second segment of the show,
yep, we're going to dig into the training segment, and we like to feature one of the members over at Gun Channels. Gun Channels is a place we built a while back. It's a community focused on firearms, and to keep people aware of that who might be listening to the show and not aware of Gun Channels, we like to feature a member every day between our first and second segment. Today we're featuring HVS, Hawaii Volcano Squad, one of the few Hawaiians that are regulars over at Gun Channels. And you guys are in, turns out there's different islands over there in Hawaii. And he's on,
just because you live in Hawaii does not make you a Hawaiian, by the way. That actually kind of pisses the Hawaiians off.
They have managed to convince us, and they at least have kept this story consistent over the years, that everybody in Hawaii doesn't already know each other. So it's, I guess these people, these two guys live far enough away from each other that they don't know each other. But Hawaii HVS is the other of the two active Hawaiians over on Gun Channels. He does a show on Mondays. He's
Again, never claimed to be a Hawaiian. That's a pretty big deal, dude. I'm trying to help you out.
Well,
Okay, fine. He's the other dude who lives in Hawaii.
There you go.
We're not talking about the culture of Hawaii because we're from the mainland, so we think.
Let's just say that could get you beat up here. Is what I'm saying.
We're just a couple of Poco Ghiblies trying to understand the culture. Okay.
No, I'm all right with that. Poco Ghibli hashtag.
All right. So anyway, I'm just trying to say that HBS is part of the reason we built Gun Channels. He's real active in it. He's got his own stuff that he brings to the table. We featured him before, and I'm sure we'll feature him again. This week we've got a bit of a theme going on. I'm sure people have probably guessed it by now. But
I don't know. It's Thursday, and I still hadn't figured it out, but I'm a little slow this week.
it was HBS and Yankee and this guy, Smeggy, and Night Strike, right?
Oh, well, then I think I may have figured it out then.
Okay. Michiganders.
That's right.
Yeah, I haven't figured it out. I don't know. How do I fit in with those people?
Cool. I think it goes cool, not cool, cool, not cool. So I think you're on one of the cool days.
If I'm on one of the cool days, okay. I don't remember what day of the week I was.
All right. Well, with that, we're going to dig into the second segment of the show. We're a little bit over schedule or different, off schedule today, but that's awesome. So I don't know how long we want to dig into it, but our training segment today is meal planning for training or competition. So
The reason I think the reason I suggested that is like when I say used to, like a big fishing tournament, like the night before, you know what's going to be required of you the next day. You're going to be leaving pre-dawn. You're going to be out on the ocean all day, but you don't. So you want like a good meal the night before that's pretty solid, but doesn't make you tired or sick or anything like that. The next day you want something that is going to promote the huge amounts of energy that you're going to expend. So I guess that's what I was getting at, is like, if you know that you're going to be competing and it's going to take you all day, you probably want a decent breakfast, and I'm not saying solid, because you might actually want it to be light and not overly acidic. But so I guess that's where I was coming from when.
So you're going to want those carbs then, right? Because that's it releases the energy slow, like eating spaghetti the night before or whatever.
Well, and yes, to a degree, but you also don't want to do overcarb it where then you're sluggish, because then that's going to hinder your competitive level.
What about how you package the lunch? Are you concerned about, if you don't have a place where you can wash your hands, about getting lead residue, ingesting it, or anything like that?
That is a concern. Sometimes I'll use an extra bottle of water and or what are the wipes called? The little like if you got a baby.
baby wipes.
Thank you, baby wipes.
Those wipes you use, like with a baby, whatever the heck those things are called.
Yeah. So like I got, when I go, if I'm going to the range or whatever, I got both of those. I got extra water just for washing my hands and or wipes as well.
Must be nice to have extra water whenever you need it. I think there's enough desert shaman going on in this chat tonight.
I just thought you didn't like water, G. I mean, I never understood not liking water. I mean, I'm surrounded. You're in a desert, dude. At least you can walk out of the desert, bro. I'm on an island surrounded by salt water. There's
Yeah,
no walking through the desert, dude.
You went from a peninsula to an island. You must really hate land.
Yeah, no kidding.
I do really love water, though. I will tell you that I really do love water.
So, anyways, going back to the
Meal plan and
like,
wiping your hands and stuff. Yeah, and the other guy out there said wet naps, which is, of course, the alcohol ones, and that's a real thing, too.
I guess you guys can keep your little baby sack with all your hand wipes or whatever in it, but what about just an MRE where you can pretty much rip most of that off with your teeth or your hands and then use that long-ass spoon, never have to touch anything and still eat without getting
So are you anti-washing or wiping your hands?
No, I think he wants to be tactical at the range.
Okay.
MREs taste good.
But I think
I'm definitely not judging on the MRE. I'm just wondering why he don't like washing his hands or wiping his hands. I'm just trying to understand.
No, I don't know. I'm just trying to throw an alternative out there. But we're saying meal plan for training or competition. I guess that does include this, what you're going to eat while you're there. But I guess I think of it as like what Smeggy was saying, what you do to get ready. And I've never really done any of that. I guess, like you're saying, Z, more like if I'm going out somewhere, I don't want to eat something like, oh, the new Indian food place that I've never been to. Yeah, let's have whatever is the greasiest thing on the menu there.
And then you wonder why you're sitting in the porta potty during your time that you're supposed to be shooting.
So, I mean, I might eat, normal stuff that you're accustomed to eating or whatever, and then just bring something along. But do you think there's much advantage? I mean, I'm assuming with all the attention athletes put to this stuff that there must be some value to.
Dude, you can look it up. There's literally New York Times bestsellers of athletes regimen, so to speak, and in that is some of them will specifically eat a certain dish. Sometimes they fall it under good luck, so to speak, and other times they just fall it under it gives me what I need to be able to operate at a highly efficient level. And then, sometimes it's just something that I like, so it puts me in a good mood, so I'm just riding that wave of positivity. So I mean,
well, and I would say with shooting, I mean, even competition and stuff, it's not always super physical. Like you might run from one barrel to the other or whatever, but each stage is like a minute and a half or something. So it's not like you're going on a 5-mile hike, but at the same time, you want to have that energy so your brain's working correctly, and you don't want to be tired or anything. So I don't know necessarily maybe what is the best food for that, but I don't know, maybe getting something that's got some natural sugars and stuff in it so you have some energy, like, I don't know, an orange or something.
You don't want to be too jittery, but you don't want your hunger to distract you. So, I don't know, have a lot of bacon.
Well, that grease sometimes can work you over. But, so, we're talking about competition and stuff like that. But what if we're talking about you're taking a tactical response class today, a fighting pistol, or you're taking the fight or force on force where there's going to be an expenditure of energy. It's going to be all freaking day, and you might, you're going to have lunch or whatever in there. So I guess I was trying to put it in there as like, what level of importance do you put on some of these things, or do you just not consider it and you just seat of the pants and you're like, I'm here. I had a McMuffin in the morning, and then I had a McDouble in the afternoon, and I'm fine. Give me a Coke and a Snickers, and I'm out.
Aren't those courses catered? And if so, do they have a nutritionalist decide what they want to serve you?
No, I will say that some may, but I'm going to go with most don't.
Yeah, I've been to quite a few classes now, and only three maybe out of dozens have had food arrive there or be there. And one of them was somebody really trying to make an impression on a company. And I think trying to, possibly start a thing up on a regular basis. So they were trying to make a big ado of it, go beyond the norm. And then the other ones were because it was fairly easy like the guy's wife was a caterer or something, so it was almost easy. But most of the time, you're either going to eat right through the lunchtime, in which case you're just bringing something that you can grab while you're stuffing bags, or they'll all break and go somewhere. And most of the time, it's usually like a Subway or something like that for the speed and the, it's just efficient food for doing work. You're not going to, like you say, don't get a bunch of people getting upset stomachs after eating Subway.
Gee, out in the chat, there is a question about what do they do at Big Sandy? And I mean, I know that's not a competition or a class, but it's a thing.
Yeah, it's similar because you are kind of out in the middle of nowhere for a day at least or more, depending on how long you're out there. So you can bring your own food, of course, and then there's anything you want to get to, you'd have to leave, and it's like an hour away. So you're going to want to bring stuff, but there's also a 4-H, what would you call it? Like a food truck, I guess. Except maybe a little bit even more elaborate than that. Maybe like an RV that's turned into a kitchen type of thing that the 4-H group.
One of them portable mess halls that they got these days.
Yeah, it's almost like a mess hall, and then it opens up to a bunch of tents and what do you call it, like picnic tables, and then they have enough food there for pretty much all the spectators and people. Imagine they've done it enough to have enough food for everybody. I don't think I've ever heard of them running out. And that's a couple of bucks. So that's one thing you can do at that particular one. And usually when something is like that out in the middle of nowhere, then they're going to be aware that people are going to need to eat and do something.
Like not everybody is going to have packed their cooler or packed a lunch or whatever, and they just can't have people dropping out in the middle of the desert and being airlifted out. That's not exactly what we want.
And it's an opportunity because then the 4-H makes a couple of bucks, and it's I'm assuming it's like a project for them. It's like a thing the kids can prepare for and execute.
Right, a positive promotion, which is excellent.
Well, I'm guessing they're like scouts. Like those are the kind of things you do. Is you organize those kind of things, you do them, you accomplish them, you learn from them, you do the next one. So it's part of the kids' efforts, right? That's what they do in that organization, I think.
So I'd like to send it through the panel here. Do you feel that it is important to either have a meal plan or pay attention to what it is that you either eat before or during one of these events, whether we're talking competition, we're talking training class, or we're talking event? And I'd like to start with G-Webs, please.
I'm in the middle of eating pizza right now because it's National Pizza Day, and I bought a giant pizza.
Nice.
But no, I was pretty much unhealthy all the time. So
yeah, but almost dying got you to be healthy, man.
I just haven't done anything since then. So I'm actually be curious. I wanted to not be large before I started exercising again because I didn't want to break myself. So I'm going to start exercising more after I eat this pizza maybe. But I'm kind of curious about this one because I know that athletes do care about what they eat. I've just never paid any attention. I mean, my whole life, I would just, if I wanted to lose weight, I would eat more and go out walking or something. I would do stuff and eat more. So this is my first experience with altering diet. But I would just eat like pizza or sandwiches and stuff, though. Eat something normal that wasn't going to give you an upset stomach, and then drag something along that was easy to have with you, basically.
All right. Mr. Smeggy?
I can't say, I'm kind of like G-Webs. I can't say that I have ever in the past, and I don't even know if I would have thought about it, but this is, you helped me think about it now. I mean, I probably would have just ate like whatever I happened to eat the night before, and then, like you said, going there, sometimes, I'd go somewhere and like find out as I'm there, oh, there's no food around here. I should have brought something with me. Okay, I guess I'll, eat tonight when I get home. Like I just go all day without
digging
eating.
in the car seat to see if there's a granola bar in there from 2 weeks ago or something.
Yeah. So no, you definitely it gave me something to think about, and yeah, I think it all depends on what level you want to be at as far as like the competition stuff. As far are you carb loading? Are you eating a specific certain amount of protein and this that? I mean, I'm sure the top end guys do it. Most other people probably just eat whatever, but it's a good idea, I think, for sure.
Well, since we're kind of talking about it and our topic or our schedule is completely off, I will say that I have found it interesting that I always just thought it was a calorie thing, like a number of calories and then eat healthy, like with the stupid food pyramid they used to brainwash us with. So as long as you were eating like from those 4 food groups and this number of calories, you're good to go. Now that I've paid more attention to eating healthy, and seeing the various options. And now with the internet, the same way that we talk about guns being so easy to share information about, people have shared information about nutrition and health philosophies and theories to crazy extents, right? So there's some really interesting things where if again you think of your body as a machine, as a machine that takes inputs and reacts to them in a consistent way, or in a way you can anticipate, then people play with that in lots of different ways. And some of it is like the all meat diets that are out there. Some of them, of course, vegan diets. There's the ones where you starve yourself, I guess, and you kind of go into ketosis, and those seem kind of interesting. And then there's the idea of and then there's fasting. Tony said something about fasting before the events that he'd gone to. So there's these different theories, and then there's the concept of not just having one that's your theory, but like knowing what they're all for and when to use them, and then doing this when you need that and doing that when you need that. So I think there's probably a lot to this, and it's probably one of the reasons we're going to start seeing ourselves live longer, right? People, as they, even if they're not interested in this stuff, they're just going to figure it out, just like anything else. It's around, the information's there, and as people start talking about it in the around the water cooler or whatever, you start picking some of this diet stuff up.
Well, and people harp on calorie count and stuff like that. To be honest, it's not really the calorie count number. It's what those calories were made up of. You'd be hard pressed to have a 2,500 calorie diet that was based mostly on fruits and vegetables. Like, you would have to have like cream sauces and cheese and lots of things like that, heavy duty on the butter type of stuff, to get up to a 2,500 calorie diet of those things, right? Whereas literally it's two double whoppers kind of a thing, you know what I'm saying? And on the other way. So it's not always the number, it's what it's made up of. But I do want to ask Squib, what is your opinion about the meal plan for competition, training, and or events?
In any of my limited experience with that, it was big breakfast in the morning and then whatever they were serving. I haven't gone to anything where I had to bring my own meal.
Okay. No, that's cool. Actually, that's awesome. And most of my stuff, the only competition I was talking about is like big game fishing tournaments. So, I mean, that's mostly what I can relate to on that. And yes, it was have a solid meal the night, because again, when you're dealing with the time of day that you're getting up and you're getting motivated and everything like that, if you're on the boat by 4 and leaving by 4:30 in the morning, sometimes that's leaving late as well. That the night before, you better have had your pretty solid meal. You know, you got a good amount of rest, because you're going to expend some energy. And like you were just talking before about not being able to have a part because you're on a vessel on the other side of the earth. Well, we're not that far from land, but there's no pulling over to the 7-Eleven when you're in a marlin fishing tournament and stuff like that. So it's just one of those things. Now, I will admit, though, on most of those fishing tournaments, a lot of the wives did actually like potluck for the guys on the boat, which was pretty nice.
Can't you just eat some of the fish you catch? I mean,
you can sometimes, but what if you don't catch no fish, dude?
In between the big ones.
Yeah, well, if you don't catch any fish, you don't eat nothing then. But anyway, so that would be the meal plan for competition and training.
I didn't know that was a thing that could happen.
What, not catching fish?
Yeah.
They don't call it catching, they call it fishing, dude.
You ever gone hunting and not seen anything out in the woods?
Absolutely. And that brings nothing into your ability as either a fisherman or as a hunter. So let's go in between what? In between the second and third segment, we'd like to talk about...
Oh, yeah. And what is this part here for?
I didn't put that in there.
I put that in there to remind me to do something. So, yeah, we're going to talk about Every Second Matters. EverySecondMatters.com is a place that we built a while back. And actually, it's a...
Was that my idea that we talked about?
Yeah.
Excellent. So
Every Second Matters was or is an awareness campaign that we a bunch of people started a long time ago, and then last year developed the everysecondmatters.com website into a resource that could be used, and it's meant to be a collaborative type of effort. There's absolutely no cost, so just check it out if you'd like. If you'd like to see what we're talking about, everysecondmatters.com. We'll have links to it in the description of the video. We'll drop some links in the live chats, and consider checking it out. And if it's something that you're interested in being a part of, the idea there is to amplify and enhance whatever efforts are being done out there, instead of being another thing that's pro-gun or for gun owners. It's just it's a one-stop shop where everyone can come together and talk about whatever campaigns are going on out there, whether they be pro-gun or defense against anti-gun, or there's something like the petitions that we talked about earlier. So we just wanted to take a break here and let people know that it's out there. If you have any specific questions about it, of course, ask any of us or anybody that's over there. And it's just a community, and it just happens to be focused on Second Amendment awareness and activism. All right, well, so
Yeah.
on to gun of the
And
today.
it's awesome.
Should be awesome, and it will be awesomer, hopefully. Gun movie of the day.
Yep.
So every day we try to feature a movie. So if you're an old person who hasn't seen this movie in a while, or if you're a youngin' and you haven't seen anything good yet, that's why we do this part of the show. So we're talking about the movie Monsters. You seen this one?
No. Is this the one where Mexico has been invaded by large aliens, and basically you don't see the aliens until the end of the movie, and the dude is hired to actually go get like the newspaper owner's daughter or something like that? Is that this movie?
Yeah, there are aliens, and there is a wall between Mexico and the United States.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
This movie is basically going to show you what it's like when they build that wall. That's what's going to be like that.
To keep those large, horrifically violent aliens back.
So basically, this one was awesome. I don't know. I think it's a low budget one, right? And it's
I thought it was a little slow, but then again,
well, it's sort of like that witch thing. It was on a slow budget, so they didn't put a lot of money into the effects, but it was sort of like, I thought it was entertaining.
I do too. No, actually, Monsters is the name of the movie we're talking about out there, folks, and I would agree with G. It was definitely entertaining. It was dramatical, but at first you just think it's like, oh, this dude's going to save this chick from like the gorillas, and that's gorillas, not gorillas. But and then obviously there's some other type of catastrophe happening, and they don't really overly address it until like 2/3 of the way through the movie almost, and then all of a sudden you're like, no, like the military has been destroyed, and then again, I know it wasn't a 7-Eleven, but the gas station or scene, I think, is one that is pretty telling. I definitely liked it.
So it's from 2010.
You guys didn't see it?
I have no idea what you're talking about. No, I just looked it up on IMDb.
What about Squib? Seen it?
No.
So did you see that Blair Witch movie?
No, I heard the Cliff Notes theater version of it.
That's all you need. I don't even know. I've never seen that movie either, but I get the impression it's like that in the respect that it's like supposed to be kind of somebody's holding the camera, right? As opposed to like the movie.
But it's better than that. It's not the found footage quite as much as you think. It's got some regular stuff and some of that. So to me, it's better than Blair Witch.
Definitely better than Blair Witch. I guess I'm just using that as a reference point, that it's not your typical like monster movie or big budget movie. It's sort of almost indie or.
Oh, it definitely is indie.
How special were the effects?
Very few, but when they happened, they were like a Godzilla movie or a King Kong. They were good enough, though. The aliens are huge. I mean,
was there a guy in a suit?
No, they're huge and
no
CGI.
Think about Jaws, Squib. It's more of that style of a horror flick, and that if you remember, like you didn't even like Jaws was the biggest character of the movie, right? The movie's named after him, but you don't hardly see that character through most of the movie, and
just like
Monsters
Predator.
is very similar.
Yeah.
Yes, there you go. That's another. Except you don't even get to know like the outline type of thing, like in Predators or in Predator, like that. Like
Well, that's
the monster itself is pretty good actually.
it's sort of like it's this weird situation where there's aliens that have screwed up Mexico to the point where like these aliens are huge, like Godzilla, so they're huge, and then they made it so that you can't even live in
War of the Worlds type of Martians almost.
Yeah, like you can't
Almost.
live in Mexico anymore. So there's like this big chunk of Mexico where nobody lives, and this girl is on the other side of Mexico, or other side of these aliens, and she wants to get home. And this guy goes to get her, and they have to end up walking through it basically. So it's sort of like this weird situation that the movie's really about and how they deal with it. But what's neat about it is that they don't baby you through it. They just assume you're going to be able to keep up, or else it's made intentionally so that they don't try to answer every question. So
Exactly that for sure.
So
it's kinda
how
like
exactly do you stop a Godzilla sized
they're not
alien?
trying to, though. They're not trying to. That's the best part. Is
No, they're
Oh,
just
okay.
trying to get through the demilitarized zone or whatever it is. They're trying to get through the forbidden zone from one side of it to get back into America. And again, the dude is hired by some rich dude. Like I said, he's either a media mogul or whatever, but it's the chick's dad basically hires this guy. Like, I don't want to call him an Indiana Jones type either, but
he's just some guy who's like willing to go down and get her.
right.
And
But he has some level of skill set though.
Oh no, he turns out.
You know what I mean?
But it's not like I say, it's not like Godzilla where it's all about the one guy who has to kill Godzilla or something stupid. It's like just because there happens to be this crazy situation where there's these aliens, it's really just a movie about these two people having to deal with it. And that's why I think it's so cool, because they don't try to exploit the part about it being an alien movie. It just happens to be in a world where there's aliens that could step on you.
And yes, not to be confused with Monster Inc. and or Monsters Ball. Two completely
I think
different
that's the
movies.
reason it's so cool, is that they just approached it differently. It didn't try to make it let's save the world from the aliens. It's just sort of like, here's what it'd be like.
No, it's a hey man, this is what's happening. We got to deal with it. This is how we deal with it.
Yeah, and then just like this is what it would be like if there's giant aliens that took over Mexico.
Yeah.
All right, so I don't know if there's even that many guns in it, but there are kind of at the end, I guess, and that's why it's in there.
Yeah, I would agree with that. I didn't actually pick it, so I don't know where it came from, but I will say it's a good movie, and again, it moves a little slow, so to speak. Like it's not what you would consider to be a super duper 1980s fast-paced action movie by any stretch.
No.
But again, I'll give it 2 thumbs up. I enjoyed it. I'll definitely watch it again.
The only thing bad about it, in my opinion, is if you like it, you're going to be frustrated because there's just not that many movies like it.
You can kind of find the indie market, whether you're talking Sundance Films or something like that. If you have the independent film channel, some of that kind of stuff is going to roll through there.
Chesterfield or whatever, that one.
Cloverfield.
Yeah.
Chesterfield is a cigarette, but yeah. But yeah. That one in that movie, Cloverfield always gets me with the freaking alien lice / ticks or whatever they were. That, to me, that's almost more scarier than anything else going on in that movie.
So Tony on the. Guess we're going to transition out of this one since you guys haven't even seen it. We don't know if Bob's seen it. He probably hasn't. Well, he may have because it's on Netflix and stuff. But definitely, I guess let's close it with that. It's a movie you can see. It's on Netflix and on Amazon, I think. So it's one you could watch on a Sunday or Saturday afternoon if you're trying to fold laundry or something. It's that kind of movie.
There you go. Yeah. Yep. Because you're not really going to miss too many plot points. Because really, it's dialogue between the dude and the chick for a good portion of it.
Yeah.
And I won't give away any more than that.
And some weird alien shit that's worth watching. And
Absolutely.
And I always like it when the special effects are like just to make like a giant wall that would hold back giant aliens out of the southern border of the United States. Like all that special effects to make that just so they could walk through it, and it's almost inconsequential.
Well, the idea is that you slow them down and their heads are over the wall, so you know what to aim at. See,
no, I'm just saying that that significant of a thing in the movie is like not even a plot thing. It's just like they happen to walk through it and then they keep going. So that cool special effect isn't like they had to like pause the movie and make a big point about the wall to get some feed.
Oh,
some-
okay. I gotcha.
to get paid back for spending all that time on making the wall. All right. So Tony was saying, what is that book and where is it at? Talking about a book that I signed for him in 2014, 13. When did Kalashnikov die? 12 or 14?
I couldn't tell you.
Whenever Kalashnikov had passed, it was in December, and then in SHOT Show, which is usually in January, KVAR Arsenal Inc. Had ties with Kalashnikov, the man, not just his firearms. So they are very respectful of him and appreciate his contribution to everything. Obviously, their bread and butter come from his invention. So whenever that happened, they had put together a nice memoriam, I guess, and it was a nod to the man and to acknowledge that had happened, weeks before. And then they had a book there that people could sign. And then that book was basically just a bunch of blank pages. You could sign whatever you wanted. And Tony, I knew Tony was interested in the man as an artisan and, as a inventor and whatnot. So, and then, significance in the world and all that. So I left something in there for him, or for Tony, since he couldn't be there. And then that book, once it was all done being signed by people at SHOT Show, which is kind of neat because that would be a lot of people in the industry and people who, potentially know the man or, obviously are familiar with his firearms. Anyway, once that book was done being signed at SHOT Show that week, I think it did do a bit of a tour to some other places with the memoriam, I guess you'd call it, like the stuff that they had set up along with the book to commemorate the event. And then once it was done being signed, it went to the Kalashnikov Museum in Russia. So from what I understand, it's at the Kalashnikov Museum in Russia as permanent exhibit, as a indication of
like a relic of the state almost, then probably.
Well, no, because it's not commies anymore, but for the man himself at his museum as a token of the appreciation that the United States has in the commercial market for his product and his invention.
Okay, that's cool.
So it's kind of neat.
So we got to go to Russia to check it out, is what you're saying?
I think so, yes.
Okay, all right.
Died in 14, so that would have been SHOT Show 15, thanks.
Okay.
How cool would that be to have the Gun Show Loophole Tour go international and check out the Kalashnikov Museum?
I'm actually thinking more about that lately. Depends on if I get this van, because think about how much air travel that $1,000 or whatever for the van would be.
Not that much, unfortunately. Not to fly to Russia and back.
Man, let's continue on with the show. Can we please? Not to stifle your dreams or anything like that, but that is one of the craziest things I think of has ever been brought up. Do you have your papers in order, sir? No? Okay. Come in with me. There's no talking your way out of stuff over there, dude. It costs money to talk your way out of stuff.
If you don't bother with the papers, it's way cheaper.
Yeah, and it's over a lot quicker too.
Yeah.
A lot quicker.
Travel wherever you want.
You don't even get the benefit of a ditch. You're just face down.
What?
Whoa! I don't know.
What do you mean? I had all these AKs when I came in here.
Yeah.
Didn't you see me?
If you don't have papers
in?
and you don't have money, G, you're dead in Russia. What are you talking about, man? Just saying.
All right, I'm trying to eat a pizza here, and you're making it difficult.
Okay, well then let's move on to the gun shop of the day, which today it looks like it's Academy Sports and Outdoors.
Yep.
Which I think I can put the link in there for all the folks in the external chats.
That'd be good. There's no point really because I don't have any pictures posted, but this was an academy, which is basically a chain. So We're talking about a gun shop. Every day we'd like to feature a gun shop here on the show. And today this week we're featuring shops from our tour back in 2012. So this academy is in...
Well, the one I visited is in Austin.
Okay,
actually, it's in Round Rock. I've been to Academy Sports every time I go to Texas now.
This one was in Alabama, I believe, and I'm verifying.
Well, that's the first name on there is Alabama.
Okay, so then we were actually going to Cart Call, where the
The Arab Emirates one? That
Yeah.
Caracal?
And the what's the bullpup? The Og. The Steyrs are imported, so it's
Really?
Steyr and all them. They're in Alabama, in whatever that town is. Anyway, we got there about an hour early because of, however, this timing happened. So we were an hour early, and that's whenever that would happen, we'd look for a gun shop, and this was one of the gun shops we found. So we found an actual gun shop, and then we found this place, and I only stopped in it mainly because Matt won't shut up about Academy. The Matt from Never.
Yeah, but wait a minute. This is 2012 you're talking about. He was already talking about Academy back then?
Oh, please. Yeah.
Yeah, no. Actually, you're right. You're right.
Single show. So I'm like, all right, I got to go check out one of these academies. They must be handing out gold bars at the door and doing all kinds of business to you as you walk further back in. I figured this was like the ultimate pleasure dome, but turns out it's just a sport mart. It's like a
They do have all of the fishing, hunting, camping, and whatever sports team, whether college, local, or professional team may be in your area. They're going to have all of that type of memorabilia in there, whether we're talking shot glasses, hoodies, hats, foam fingers, all of that kind of stuff. But then it's also going to have hunting and camping equipment. It's also going to have like your windbreakers and stuff like that. And then as far as hunting equipment, it'll have all of that. And then as far as guns and archery, it will have both rifles, shotguns, pistols, crossbows, bows. And then as far as accessories goes, I've seen everything from red dot scopes, reloading equipment, ammo, not a whole lot of tactical equipment, so to speak. And I will agree, like it's a small Bass Pro or a small Cabela's, basically.
Yeah. Half of a Bass Pro, right?
They don't.
Less.
They don't have Academy Sports up here in Michigan. I've mail ordered from them twice in the past. I needed 9x18 Makarov, and they've got their Monarch brand. It's their cheap import brand, and it was available. And it was cheap, and I picked up some other stuff. And their mail order service was good. I've heard Matt talk about them too, and I said I got to try one of these places out. I was in Knoxville.
I was gonna say it's about the size of a Gander Mountain, maybe a little smaller than a Gander Mountain.
Yeah, that's what I thought. I went to one finally about 6 weeks ago. I went to one in Knoxville, and about the size of a Gander Mountain. There was more sporting stuff there than gun stuff. I'd say it's equivalent to a local chain here in Michigan called Dunham's. It was a little bit like a Dick's Sporting Good or a Field and Stream store. But I went over there looking for reloading supplies. They had some, but not a lot. Went looking for ammo. They had a decent variety, but definitely not as much as what they carried online. They had a decent selection of guns behind the counter, but I asked if they had any AR receivers, and they had none. They had lots of accessories, holsters, and cases. They had lots of gun cases and targets, and their pricing wasn't that bad. It just okay, been there, done that. I just didn't think it was that special. I'd rather go to Cabela's.
Well, and but think about like where you guys live and stuff like that. It's easy to have a choice whether it's a Bass Pro or Cabela's or something like that, because usually there's something, I don't want to say close to, but within your driving range, so to speak. If you want to think about it, there's other places out there where your local gun shop is going to be way smaller, not have as much stuff. Let alone your local gun shop. Like the one thing I did like was their ammo selection. Not like they're going to have 20 brands of each caliber, but the number of calibers they have is kind of fantastic.
I only went to the one, but I thought Palmetto State Armory had a better selection of ammo at the one store I went and visited in South Carolina last year. So, I mean, for shooting, I'd say, Academy, I would give it an okay, or maybe just slightly above okay. But if you're looking for something specific or whatnot, you're probably going to have to order it off their website. Just like Bass Pro. Bass Pro's got lots of stuff, but they carry more stuff online than what they have in the store.
That's true. And I did make it into the Cabela's in Buda, excuse me, which is down the road from where I'm usually at in Texas when I'm visiting. And yeah, selection, it's totally different. But we're talking, it's 2 times, if not 2.5 times bigger. So
I'd say if you don't have an academy in your area and you're visiting a place that's got an academy, stop in.
yeah,
Pick up some shells, pick up some targets. Just look around. I got a big storage box. I put all my reload supplies in. They had a really good price on it. They had all kinds of stuff.
well, and the thing, like, for me, if I'm traveling with my firearms and stuff like that, I'm not usually bringing ammo with me so much. So I'm going to be getting ammo when I'm there to go to the range and or a class or what have you. So to know that they usually have a decent price on stuff and it's going to be in stock. It's not like I'm going to have to go to 3 different places and hope that somebody has, cheap 38 or 357, or if they got cheap 45 because I just want to go plug some paper, So that is one thing where I do kind of like Academy for that.
If you needed a one-stop shop for a common firearm, you could probably get the shells, a spare magazine, a case, cleaning supplies, targets, hearing protection, eye protection, all that stuff right there for your common firearms.
And a cold beverage and some jerky, if you were so inclined.
And if you needed a windbreaker, you could get that there too.
Yes, you could. You could definitely get a windbreaker.
Gotta be
Maybe not in Texas or Knoxville because it's so warm, right?
But there got to be like 3-to-1 windbreakers to guns at those stores.
Maybe not just windbreakers, but yeah, I will agree with you and both of your guys' observations at the academy. Yeah, it's not solely about firearms. I might almost say that there's more, like you just said, there might even be more fishing than there is firearms. But
for sure, it's an outdoor store.
Yes, Academy Sports and Outdoors. So yeah.
All right, so that was the shop. So anybody that would like, we should have not done that shop actually, and we should have made Squib give us a shop. Dang it. So if anybody would like to contribute a shop though in the future, then you can come on the show and tell us about a shop, or remember that you got a camera in your pocket. More than likely, you got a phone. So ask if it's okay to take a couple pictures and share them with the internet. Most of the time, people say sure. Take those pictures, share them, Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, podcast, blog, whatever it might be. And if you're too lazy to do any of that stuff, still do it. And then just send the pictures to us at dailygunshow@gmail.com. And we will be happy to share those pictures and tell people about that shop and keep the word out there about those local brick and mortars.
G, did you have a video together for the GOD?
The gun of the day? No.
Yes.
So for today's gun of the day, we're going to instead take a little field trip that's specific to today. And I will continue to talk here. Did we do the tactile quiz? I guess Dano already did that.
We did the pop.
Yes, we did that real early.
Yeah. So can't use that.
We basically got healthy tip, gun channels today, and the quote. Other than, I think then we got events. We never really covered the events of
shooting events.
Yeah. And like, for example, today, one of our Gun Channels members was at one of the events that happens to be happening, which is the Great American Outdoor Show.
Okay, let's talk about that for a minute then.
And that was, yeah.
Prophet, Epic Beard Man, depending on what name he's going by at the time.
I tried getting him that link, dude. He kept saying it wouldn't work, but I sent it like 5 different places, so I don't know.
A link to today's show right now?
Yeah. I tried earlier because we were going to try and talk about it, but well, that looks like a gun of a day, though.
Yeah. So today's gun of the day is pizza.
What?
It is
that
National Pizza Day? So I had to go buy a pizza so that I could put some gun-related toppings on it.
Was that delivered?
Yeah. This was whatever 25 4473s, but I'm now an unlicensed seller. Or buyer, I guess. Yeah, what you do is you just ask for mini revolvers. It's not on the menu, so when you call for delivery, you're gonna want to. You just have to know about secret menu. You just ask for mini revolvers, and then assorted. And then
did you use that bayonet to cut the pizza?
Oh, I should have done that. No, I was thinking about using the lasers to somehow cook the cheese on top a little bit more, but I didn't do that either.
Damn, nice cheese pizza though. I mean, nice NAA pizza.
Yeah, I don't go for the pepperonis, but I do go for the tiny revolvers. So that's the gun of the day. Hope everybody
Nice.
enjoyed it. It took about half of the show wiping them things off. So
Oh, I don't doubt that, dude. I don't. I was wondering about that. I'm like, are you out of your mind? But you suffer for your art, my friend. I will give you that.
No,
them little revolvers suffer for my art. Let's say that's more accurate.
I don't know if this counts as healthy tip of the day, but are you worried about any residue from the guns getting on the pizza? Like any cleaning oils and stuff?
Number one, ain't no gun gonna kill me. And number two, I don't know, probably I should have, but
Okay, just curious.
I
Nice.
could have potentially dabbed off the lead soaked grease pots, but I didn't. So, oh well. Nope. Probably gonna die from lead poisoning now.
Hey, well, you know what, gentlemen? Not to be a Debbie Downer or nothing like that, but we're all gonna die of something. But we ain't all gonna die today. So
Hey, we might all die.
live it up is what I got to say. Live it up.
I might die of lead poisoning, but that'd be a badass picture to have on my Instagram feed during the funeral services. So it was worth it.
Nice. Yeah, we're
Well,
blowing
and
that
lead
pizza
poisoning
up.
takes a while too, though, so you're fine.
Yeah, it's
That
cumulative,
takes
man.
like a week. But I've only eaten like 3/4 of that pizza so far. So
Oh, and says the guy that don't like washing his or wiping his hands at the range
I wipe
because
my hands after
because
that.
baby wipes or bev naps are too much of a hassle to put into his range bag. I mean, give
If
me
you
a
would have been
break.
listening carefully throughout the show, I wasted about a half a roll of paper towels going off and wiping the damn grease off of half of these things. It turns out if you take a hot pizza and you jam a bunch of heavy revolvers into it, what'll happen is they sink down into the cheese and then
Yep.
just soak in, like half of them is soaked in cheese grease.
Yep. Yep.
So
And
little tip, let your pizza cool down before you're going to put a bunch of revolvers on it for a picture.
yeah, that's a viable tip. That's even a healthy tip. You know, I know that there's people out there that will dab their pizza, dude. Like literally.
I've
They
seen
will.
people talking about dabbing the grease off at the top.
Yep.
Yeah. Here's what you do. You just hold it vertically, and if there's enough grease for it to come off, then it was meant to come off.
All right. And if not, it's all good. It's
And you're
supposed to
not
be there.
What are you going to waste a bunch of paper towels just for?
Oh, I don't dab my pizza. Are you freaking kidding me? I mean, I like pepper. Anyway, I don't know if we. I know we are acknowledging that it is technically National Pizza Day.
That's what we're trying to do, is let people know that it is National Pizza Day. I am sorry for not having a real pizza, but all the real pizza places around here start at 4 or open at 4, and then they take 40 minutes to cook an actual pizza, and then the show started at 5. So I would have either had to not do the show, or I don't know, I wouldn't have got here for the show on time. So that's
Are you
why
crush shaming? Is that what's happening right there?
I am
You are.
cracker cheese shaming, yes, because this isn't a pizza. This is a pizza-like disc food that people are.
Gibbs is not a
People
fan
like
of the
disc
thin
food.
crust.
I love
He
that.
does not. He does not
I don't
appreciate the
mind
New
the
York.
thin crust. We talked about that earlier. The cracker thin crust, like real Italian pizza kind of thin crust, is fine. This garbage New York stuff isn't good. I only got this one for the novelty of the size, so that I could take a bunch of pictures of it.
Take a bunch of pictures. I gotcha.
Whoa, what happened here? So anyhow, so that was that. Now let's jump into the healthy tip. So, if you just bought a 24-inch pizza and ate half of it, then you might want to stand up when you're using the computer, because that will not incline, or you won't have the tendency to sit there and look at the computer. So that's your healthy tip today. And go ahead and eat half a giant pizza now.
Yes.
Going on over here. So
Do that.
that weirdness. If you're gonna speak in weird languages, at least translate it. Over on the YouTube, hit a
Oh, dang.
forward
I don't remember. I didn't get a chance to translate it, but that's okay.
Okay, so we will keep going with.
So we did gun of the day. We did healthy tip. We covered it an event. So literally,
going on, and you said that it is still going on. They have till the rest of the weekend or something to get over to there.
I believe it goes through the 12th. I believe the 12th is the last day that I saw.
Yeah, and it started last Saturday, so apparently it's
It's a
a
full
pretty
weekish.
long thing. And talking with them, the whatever the heck his name is now. I don't know what he goes by.
Beard Man.
Beard man.
Okay, fine. He was saying that, like, from the firearms point of view, it's like about a quarter of the size of NRA, if you're familiar with the NRA show, but it has tons more like outdoor stuff, like RVs and boats and four-wheelers and camping stuff and coolers and
John
hunting
Deere.
things and stuff like that. So it is definitely an all-around outdoors type thing. But it's not necessarily all firearms focused.
And he was out there covering some square footage when I checked into the chat earlier today. He was out there making it happen, getting some coverage for gun channels and Instagram and all that kind of stuff.
You guys that have been to NRA though know that NRA isn't 100% guns either. There's quite a bit of like targets and safes and other stuff and accessories and optics and knives and other stuff too. So being just guns in a fifth or a quarter, depending on when he said, of NRA, then that's still pretty much a lot of the stuff that's at NRA, really. I mean, NRA is probably only about half guns, right?
Yeah, that's probably fair.
So all I'm saying is I think it is still a pretty sizable event. And I think you were saying it's the biggest outdoor event, but I'm saying it's probably a pretty good size gun event as well, firearms event.
Absolutely. It's probably one of the biggest shows probably in the, do you call that part of Pennsylvania the Northeast, or is that just the East?
I call it Chocolate Land.
Well, I would hate to insult any of our gun channels members that happen to live in Pennsylvania. I can actually happen to respect a couple of them.
It's okay to insult Moon. I mean, he didn't even go up to the show. He's like right next to it.
Well, I don't even want to bring that up.
Well, I just did, so it doesn't matter.
That's fair enough, because I was asking about it before, and he's like, nah. But he was going to have to steal somebody else was going to have to steal their wife's car and come and pick him up. So that's why it was unfeasible.
See, a lot of these adventures, though, are reasons to do things like that are awesome. So that's not a reason not to do it. That's like part of the reason of doing it, right?
Well, next time, if we know somebody from Gun Channels is going through his neck of the woods, we'll just do like they did in old school. We'll have the A-Team band. We'll be playing some Metallica, and we'll just stop in front of his house and throw him in the back of the van. You know, that's why you have the van. By the way, that's one of the other side
to abduct
benefits.
other members of gun channels.
What's that?
To abduct other members of gun channels.
Well, just to take him to the show, not like to hurt it. We'll have him home by dinner, just like they did in the movie.
But just as long as it isn't the stretch van that holds 15 people, and you end up taking them to the show in that.
Yeah, no, that's not quite as maneuverable. So, G, what are you feeling? Do you feel like we did it? Do you feel like 244 is in the can? You want to address anything else here?
I don't know. We're not seeing any links from Yankee, but we have been going on forever, so we might as well wrap it up at this point. Again,
so Yankee's not on for another 45 minutes. I checked his YouTube thing.
And as far as gun channels today, that's what we do have left. I'd like to thank Smeggy for doing the mid-afternoon chat. What were you calling it? The afternoon lobby.
Yeah. And no problem, man. Everyone's welcome. We had a new guy jump in like the last 5 minutes of it. I shut it down to jump into the Daily Show, but he was saying, "Oh man, I've always wanted to do this." It's like, okay, well, click the link, man. It's not hard. So everyone's welcome in those open lobbies. It's a good time.
And Jimmy had a show today too. Yes,
he did.
Excellent. I definitely want to thank Jimmy. And then as far as what we got for the rest of the day today,
I think we're stepping
this evening.
We're stepping on tack right now, right?
We might be. I was just going to say we might be talking about gun. What is it? Gun News Weekly? Is that what his show is? I think.
Yep.
Gun. Yes. And then we got the Yankee Marshal coming up shortly in a three-way fist fight between him, Matt, and G, I believe. And then I also thought I heard there may be an AK-47 Guru podcast chat later.
Every Thursday.
And it's all planned out, so there is an actual topic list going on and everything. So get ready.
Yep, I'm gonna put a bunch of AK-47s on a pizza.
You're gonna need one hell of a pizza, dude.
I have small AK-47s.
Oh, well then there you go. So I guess that's gun channels today and tomorrow, and then or tomorrow morning, and then that leads us what to the quote of the day, unless you got something else, G.
I'm thinking it's weird having it in the evening, and it's weird not having Dano around to close out the show because he does all this tidying up at the end, and then of course Bob lives us high and dry. He doesn't do anything anymore. So yeah, it's just weird cutting the show off now. So I guess we hit it all. That's episode 244. We want to thank Smeggy for jumping in, kind of being a Bob, kind of being Dano, kind of being his own guy. And
Yeah,
then
no problem. Thanks for having me.
Squib, thanks for jumping in, and not only bringing us such interesting stuff to talk about, but also initiating the thing. So again, we do put that out there, but we don't necessarily, I don't know, we're not asking every single day. So thanks for suggesting it, and then thanks for following through, and then again, thanks for your service. We do appreciate it.
Oh, it's my pleasure. I'd go back and do it again any day if they'd let me. Anytime you want to talk Marine Corps, aviation ordnance, or military history, let me know.
Can do.
Right, we're probably going to take you up on all of those then, because like I say, with Bob, him and I can talk about airplanes, and I can kind of hold my own. I used to know a ton of stuff about airplanes, and there's some of that stuff still rattling around in there, but I don't practice it very much anymore. But I do appreciate some stuff, and Bob, I know, would like to talk about aviation stuff. So I've been kind of talking about it. Maybe when he's down here, we'll end up doing it. But we talked about visiting some of the museums and having some aviation specific chats, since we can go over to the museum here in Tucson and broadcast live from there, literally, and let our dogs pee on the actual MiGs and stuff. So
that would be great if you did a live broadcast from Pima. That would be awesome.
Yeah, and we can definitely try to do that more. We've done it before. And then
I was gonna say, you mean do another one from there?
Yeah, exactly. I know we've done actually this show from there. So
you have.
Oh,
yep.
Yeah, I went to you been there? We went to the building right in the middle, that museum that's right in the middle for the bombers, and just did it from that building. So yeah, they got good Wi-Fi there, and it's an awesome location. And then we'll have Heavy come in, and potentially Haas and whoever the hell else jarheads I know, and make you guys talk about marine stuff for our entertainment. That should be fun. Usually people are entertained by any amount of Marines getting together and being Marines in front of them.
Oh yeah, especially if they're willing to be on air for it. Please.
Well, typically, if you put some beers in front of them, they don't care if there's cameras or not, because they're
right. What cameras? What are those?
But we'll try to do that at some point. That might be interesting for everybody. And then as far as the plain old history stuff, I'm sure we'll be happy to have you back for that as well. So we'll be scheduling shows on Saturday. I guess we can mention that. It sounds like Dano and Z potentially can all get together at about this time on Saturday. Well, not this time, but 5 o'clock on Saturday. And we'll schedule out the rest of February and ideally all of March. And that'll take us to the next level of having, well, basically 4 weeks scheduled out, 6 weeks scheduled out. That'll give us the opportunity to start scheduling more guests, more special hosts and whatnot. So
and that chat's open to Patreons to join. Is that correct?
It is. So anybody that's contributing via the Patreon is welcome to join in on that and give us your immediate input as to what's on the schedule. We're also thinking about, I also didn't mention it, but we're probably going to be doing some other special things. So it'll be a very special edition of the Daily Gun Show this Saturday.
Yep.
All right. With all that, I'm hoping that gave Z enough time to prepare to be a Bob.
I will never be ready in my entire life to be Bob, but what I can do is I can do the quote of the day.
We'll take it.
So the quote of the day is by Lucius Seneca. A sword never kills anybody. It is a tool in the killer's hand. So we definitely like to thank our audience, everybody on YouTube, everybody on gun channels, everybody listening in the future on the podcast. I'd like to say thank you to everybody. If you do have any questions, comments, you want to send Dano some pop quiz questions with the answers and annotations, you send all of that stuff to dailygunshow@gmail.com. Please do like and should share and subscribe if you do have that as an option. And also, if you have not signed the repeal the NFA petition, please take a moment and do so. Again, thanks everybody. Aloha.
The guys and gals of GunWebsites.com encourage you to take a CCW class every year, practice at least once a month, and carry every day. Thanks for watching GunWebsites.com.